You relentlessly chase meaning, dissecting your passions, analyzing your skills, or searching for external affirmations to define your path, yet you find yourself entangled in an ever-tighter web of confusion and existential weariness. This ceaseless striving, this frantic scramble for a purpose you believe is hidden just beyond your grasp, ironically pushes the very clarity you seek further into the shadows. Paramahansa Yogananda, echoing the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, does not merely hint at this, he declares a profound, liberating truth: true purpose is not a puzzle to be solved by the intellect, nor a destination to be reached through egoic ambition, but a divine current to which you must surrender, allowing prayer to become the rudder of your soul, guiding your first, most essential steps. The modern quest for purpose has become a relentless, self-imposed pilgrimage, often devoid of the very sacredness it aims to uncover. We are conditioned to believe that our life's mission is something we must invent, a grand statement we must forge from the raw materials of our desires and societal expectations. We consume endless self-help manuals, attend workshops promising instant enlightenment, and relentlessly scroll through curated lives, comparing our unfulfilled potential to the perceived triumphs of others. This frantic outward gaze, this desperate yearning for a definitive why, turns the profound journey of self-discovery into a performance, a constant audition for approval from a world that is itself adrift. The resulting anxiety is not merely a psychological symptom, it is the soul's scream, trapped within the labyrinth of an ego that believes it must control its destiny down to the last detail. It is the palpable agony of being disconnected from the very source of guidance, mistaking the ego's clamor for the divine whisper. This profound disorientation, this chronic feeling of spiritual rootlessness, is a universal human ache, a shared testament to our collective forgetfulness. We are like ships with magnificent sails and powerful engines, but without a compass, perpetually circling the same troubled waters, exhausted by our own efforts. We are told to manifest our purpose, to design our ideal life, as if the sacred blueprint of our existence could be conjured from mere thought, rather than discovered through profound inner attunement. This materialistic approach to spirituality, or even enlightenment, becomes another item on a to-do list, fuels the very reactive state it claims to alleviate. We become slaves to external validation, terrified of making the wrong choice, paralyzed by the sheer volume of possibilities, all while the quiet, insistent voice of our deepest truth struggles to be heard above the din. The pain of modern anxiety is not just a personal affliction, it is a spiritual crisis, signaling that our soul is awakening, urging us to question the very foundations of our purpose-seeking strategies. Yogananda, through the lens of yogic wisdom and the timeless dialogues of Krishna to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, presents a radical alternative, a path not of acquisition, but of reception, not of forceful declaration, but of humble attunement. He reveals that your true purpose, your dharma, is not something you fabricate, but something you uncover, a sacred truth already woven into the fabric of your being. This uncovering is facilitated not by intellectual acrobatics or external searching, but by the potent, often overlooked power of prayer. Prayer, in this context, is not a mere recitation of desires, but a profound communion, an opening of the soul's receiving channels to the divine will. It is the conscious act of inviting the cosmic intelligence to guide your steps, to illuminate the next right action, dissolving the illusion of separateness that keeps you spinning in confusion. Imagine Krishna's counsel to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, a moment of profound existential crisis, where purpose was obscured by doubt and moral dilemma. Krishna did not hand Arjuna a ready-made purpose, he guided him towards the understanding of his dharma, his righteous duty, and the practice of bhakti yoga, devotional surrender, as the means to fulfill it. This isn't about blindly following dogma, it's about aligning your individual will with the universal current, transforming your actions into offerings. It's about understanding that the purpose the ego craves is often a limited, fear-driven projection, while the soul's purpose is an expansive, fearless resonance with the divine plan. This awakening of divine wealth within your soul, this recognition that your true purpose is inherently tied to a higher will, challenges everything you've been taught about finding yourself. It transforms the overwhelming quest into a sacred conversation, turning frantic effort into profound receptivity. The inner citadel is not built through external conquest, but through internal communion. It is the unshakable center of calm that emerges when you cease to be a puppet of external events and instead become a channel for divine action. This practice of surrender, of allowing a prayer to guide your first steps, is the very meditation that cultivates this inner fortress. It silences the incessant noise of the ego's demands and anxieties, clearing the channel for intuitive guidance. It's about letting go of the need to predict every outcome, to control every variable, and instead trusting in the unerring wisdom that flows when you align with the divine. The transformation that follows is not a mere change in circumstance, but a fundamental shift in consciousness. You move from being a reactive participant in your own life to becoming the serene witness, observing the drama of existence without being consumed by it, understanding that every event, every challenge, is a divinely orchestrated opportunity for growth and liberation. This is not a simplistic promise of easy answers, it is an invitation to a profound inner discipline. It demands courage, for it requires you to dismantle the very identity you've constructed around your intellectual prowess and self-reliance. It demands trust, for it asks you to lean into the unknown, guided only by an inner whisper. And it demands devotion, for it is through the heart's sincere yearning that the divine connection is forged. Yet, this path, seemingly paradoxical, offers the most direct route to that unshakable clarity of purpose, that divine wealth, which the soul instinctively recognizes as its birthright. So, if you've been caught in this endless cycle of searching, if the noise of the world and the clamor of your own mind have obscured your path, perhaps it's time to reevaluate your fundamental approach. If this resonates with a deep, silent part of you, I invite you to share one word or a brief spiritual experience in the comments below that speaks to your current quest for purpose or a moment of divine guidance. Let us begin a conversation from the heart of our shared spiritual journey. But what if the very path you believe leads to clarity, the relentless pursuit of purpose through sheer intellectual will and external seeking, is the invisible chain binding you to perpetual bewilderment, ensuring your true dharma remains forever veiled? The invisible chain binding you to perpetual bewilderment is forged in the fires of your past, often in moments long forgotten or dismissed as insignificant. You see, the relentless search for purpose, the gnawing anxiety that something crucial is missing from your life, isn't a modern affliction born of societal pressures alone. It is, at its root, a reverberation of unresolved spiritual debts and deep-seated karmic patterns, echoing through your current existence. This deep-seated feeling of being lost, without clear direction, constantly reactive to external events, and overwhelmed by existential anxiety about your life's direction, is the soul's profound distress signal, an urgent call for introspection. This is the first act of the soul's awakening, recognizing the pervasive pain of modern anxiety, the sensation of being adrift and buffeted by forces beyond your comprehension, a prisoner of a life you feel you no longer control. Imagine, for a moment, a crucial moment, not necessarily in this life, but perhaps in a forgotten past existence. Picture a decision made out of fear, a vow broken due to weakness, or a trauma that splintered your perception of divine guidance. Perhaps it was a lifetime where you consciously ignored an inner calling, choosing instead a path of perceived security or egoic gain. Or maybe it was a profound betrayal, either of self or of others, leaving an energetic imprint that whispers doubt into your present-day aspirations. This wasn't a punishment, but a cause, setting in motion a ripple of karmic consequences that manifests today as this spiritual rootlessness, this pervasive feeling of being off course. This ancestral echo, this long-forgotten decision, has predisposed your current consciousness to seek purpose externally, to trust the tangible over the subtle, because an ancient wound convinced your soul that true guidance was unreliable or absent. What you didn't know then, what your soul suspected but your ego vehemently denied, was that every choice, every thought, every prayer, or lack thereof, was meticulously recorded in the Akashic archives, shaping the landscape of your future. Your current struggles with finding purpose are not random, they are meticulously crafted lessons designed by the cosmic architect to bring you back to balance, to present you with the very choices you once deferred. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding the profound mechanics of the universe, where divine justice is simply divine order. Your anxiety is not a weakness, it is a spiritual compass spinning wildly, indicating a powerful magnetic pull towards unresolved karma, towards the very lessons your soul needs to master. The feeling of being constantly reactive, at the mercy of external events, is a mirror reflecting a deeper internal disarray, a consequence of having placed your trust in the shifting sands of Maya rather than the bedrock of divine will. The philosophical fusion of Yogananda's yogic wisdom and the Bhagavad Gita's profound insights illuminates this ancient connection with startling clarity. Yogananda emphasized that the very challenges we face are proof that our soul is awakening, that divine wealth is stirring within us. This isn't a superficial, positive thinking, it's a recognition that suffering is a catalyst. Krishna, in the Gita, guides Arjuna through his despair by revealing the eternal nature of the soul, Atman, the necessity of righteous action, Dharma, and the transformative power of devotion, Bhakti. Your current pain, your yearning for purpose, is not a sign of spiritual failure but an undeniable indicator of your soul's urgent desire to evolve, to shed these ancient burdens, and to remember its divine heritage. It is a sign that the illusions of Maya, which once provided a false sense of control and security, are beginning to crack, revealing the deeper, more profound reality beneath. The tool for navigating this ancestral landscape is not a complex map, but a simple, profound practice, the inner citadel of meditation. This isn't just sitting still, it's actively cultivating an unshakable center of calm, a sanctuary within, that no external crisis or internal karmic echo can penetrate. It is the conscious act of withdrawing your senses and your mind from the ceaseless clamor of the external world and the internal ego, allowing you to connect with the divine stillness within. This practice, advocated by both Yogananda and echoed in the meditative traditions underlying the Gita, is the foundational work for dissolving the ancient conditioning that has led to your current state of reactive confusion. It is the spiritual equivalent of digging deep to find the solid bedrock upon which a true, purposeful life can be built, rather than continuing to build on shifting sands. This inner citadel is where the transformation truly begins. By regularly entering this sacred space, you begin to detach from the relentless pull of past karma and future anxieties. You become the serene witness of your own life, observing the drama of your thoughts, emotions, and external circumstances without being consumed by them. This detachment isn't indifference, it's divine perspective. It's the ability to see the karmic threads without becoming entangled in them, to understand the patterns without being defined by them. You learn to observe the intricate dance of Maya without mistaking it for ultimate reality. This process, a gradual unveiling, allows the pure light of your soul, your Atman, to shine through, illuminating the path forward with undeniable clarity. The pain of constant reactivity fades, replaced by a profound, unshakable peace that emanates from within. Understanding the origin of your spiritual confusion, acknowledging the deep karmic roots of your relentless, yet fruitless, search for purpose, is merely the first reconnaissance mission into the battlefield of your own consciousness. It provides the map, yes, but the first real fight is against the most insidious enemy of all, your own deeply ingrained defense mechanisms, the ego's cunning strategies to keep you safe in the illusion of control. And what if these very mechanisms, designed to protect you from past wounds, are the true guardians of your spiritual amnesia, ensuring you remain perpetually lost in the wilderness of a self-created illusion? The true guardians of your spiritual amnesia are not external forces, but the insidious, deeply ingrained defense mechanisms of your own ego. These are the subtle walls you've unconsciously erected to protect yourself from the perceived pain of the past, walls that now ironically imprison you, preventing the light of true purpose from entering. The journey of awakening, therefore, is not a peaceful ascent up a gentle slope, but a relentless internal war against these very fortifications, a spiral of tension where each test becomes more challenging, and the emotional cost of surrender feels overwhelmingly high. You begin with the external battles, the frustration of societal expectations and the obstacles that seem to block your every turn, only to realize the real war is far more intimate, fought on the treacherous terrain of your own mind. You started seeking purpose, perhaps, by changing jobs, moving cities, or pursuing new relationships, believing that a change in external circumstances would magically realign your inner compass. Yet, the same patterns emerge, the same anxiety, the same feeling of emptiness, the same reactive responses to life's inevitable challenges. This is the first skirmish in the war against your ego, the realization that external solutions are merely temporary bandages on a deeper spiritual wound. The world, in its divine wisdom, keeps presenting you with situations that reflect your inner state, forcing you to confront the illusion that your peace depends on outward conditions. This external resistance, the perceived roadblocks, are not meant to deter you, they are sacred mirrors, reflecting the precise areas within your consciousness that demand purification and release. They are Krishna's subtle prodding, urging Arjuna to look beyond the immediate battlefield for the true source of conflict. As the external battles prove fruitless, the war moves inward, and this is where the true tension escalates. You confront the insidious doubts, the paralyzing fears, the whispers of inadequacy that have long dictated your choices. The ego, feeling threatened by your nascent desire for genuine purpose, unleashes its most potent weapons: self-sabotage, procrastination, and a relentless torrent of negative self-talk. It will tell you that you are not worthy, that the spiritual path is too difficult, that true purpose is for others, not for you. This is the moment of choice, the point where many retreat, unable to face the ferocity of their own inner demons. The spiritual journey, once seemingly gentle, transforms into a crucible, demanding an unwavering commitment to truth, regardless of the emotional turmoil. This spiral of tension, from external frustration to internal warfare, is a deliberate design of the cosmic play, designed to strengthen your resolve and refine your awareness. This is where the philosophical fusion of Yogananda's teachings and the Bhagavad Gita becomes your most powerful arsenal. Yogananda profoundly stated that the very intensity of our struggles proves the strength of the divine wealth stirring within our soul, calling us to awaken. He emphasized the necessity of persistent spiritual effort, of turning inward not just for solace, but for transformative power. The Gita, through Krishna, does not promise a life devoid of conflict, but rather provides the wisdom to navigate it with equanimity and purpose. Krishna's counsel to Arjuna is not to flee the battle, but to fight it with dispassion, dedicating every action to the divine. Your rising doubts and fears are not signs of weakness, they are the ego's death throes, reacting to the encroaching light of your true self. The inner conflict is not an aberration, it is a necessary rite of passage, a spiritual purification. The inner citadel, meditation, therefore, transforms from a mere practice into your battlefield command center. It's not about finding a fleeting moment of calm, it's about establishing an unshakable inner fortress from which you can strategically observe and disarm the ego's attacks. This requires discipline, courage, and consistent effort. You learn to witness your fears without becoming them, to observe your doubts without believing them. Each time you return to this inner sanctuary, you reinforce its walls, strengthening your resolve against the relentless onslaught of mental noise and emotional turbulence. This is the true meaning of resilience, not the absence of struggle, but the capacity to remain centered and conscious amidst the storm, guided by the unwavering light of your soul. As you persist, the transformation begins to manifest, not as an absence of challenges, but as a profound shift in your response to them. You become the serene witness, no longer a victim tossed by the waves of emotion and circumstance, but an observer anchored in the deep stillness of your being. This state allows you to discern the ego's machinations from the soul's whispers, to distinguish between conditioned reactions and divinely guided actions. You understand that the drama of life, with all its inherent conflicts, is simply a play of Maya, a grand illusion designed to facilitate your spiritual evolution. This detachment, rooted in conscious awareness, empowers you to participate fully in life without being consumed by its transient joys and sorrows. You are in the world, but not of the world, guided by an inner compass that remains true regardless of external storms. The intensity of this inner war, the relentless battle against your own defense mechanisms, eventually leads to a paradoxical truth: the only way to truly win is to surrender. To surrender not to defeat, but to the divine will, to the higher intelligence that orchestrates this entire cosmic drama. This is the ultimate test of courage, the point where the ego must finally relinquish its grip on control, trusting that the universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows your true purpose far better than your limited mind. But what if this surrender, this radical act of letting go of every preconceived notion of control and purpose, is not an ending but the terrifying opening to an even deeper confrontation, one that will utterly dissolve the very identity you thought you were fighting to save? The terrifying opening to an even deeper confrontation is not found in external battles or even in the noisy skirmishes of the mind, but in the profound silence where your old identity begins its ceremonial death. This is the climax, the ultimate alchemy where the lead of your suffering, purified in the sacred fire of surrender, transmutes into the pure gold of expanded consciousness. It is the absolute catharsis, a moment of unutterable vulnerability and immense liberation, where the ego's carefully constructed edifice crumbles, making way for the radiant rebirth of the soul. This isn't something you force, it's something that happens in you, an experience of non-duality where the boundaries between self and self dissolve, revealing the boundless unity that has always been your true nature. Having journeyed through the external frustrations and the internal warfare, having witnessed the ego's desperate attempts to maintain control, you reach a precipice. The constant seeking for purpose, the frantic effort to define yourself, finally exhausts itself. There's a profound fatigue, not of the body, but of the soul, tired of the illusion of separateness. This is the moment when the battle ceases to be about winning or losing, but about simply being. The insistent questions about my purpose, my path, my future, quiet down, not because they are answered by the intellect, but because the very framework that gave rise to them dissolves. This is the pinnacle of the spiral of tension, leading to a sudden, vast expansion. Suddenly, the ego's grip loosens, not by force, but by a profound, inexplicable exhaustion. It's a moment of utter spiritual vulnerability, where all your carefully constructed defenses fall away. You are naked before the divine, stripped of all roles, all identities, all self-definitions. In this sacred emptiness, there is no longer a you to fight, no purpose to seek, only a boundless, pervasive presence. This is the pico de emoco, not of joy or sorrow, but of pure, unadulterated awareness. The familiar sense of self, the I that has orchestrated your life, begins to dissolve, not into nothingness, but into everything. This is where Yogananda's teachings on God realization and the Advaita Vedanta of the Upanishads merge seamlessly with the Bhagavad Gita's emphasis on ultimate surrender. The transformation is not a choice, it is an event, a cosmic unfolding within you. You become the silent witness to the dissolution of your own ego. It's like watching a wave return to the ocean. It doesn't cease to exist, it simply realizes its true nature as the ocean itself. The frantic search for purpose, which once drove your every action, reveals itself to be the ultimate paradox. The purpose was never to find something external, but to remember your inherent connection to the divine, the source of all purpose. The fragmented self, caught in the illusion of Maya, now glimpses its true identity as Atman, one with Brahman, the Absolute. This is the moment of resolution for the initial hook, the terrifying truth that your search was the very impediment, and the path to clarity was always one of profound, devotional surrender, guided not by your limited will, but by the infinite wisdom of the divine. In this state, the inner citadel is no longer a fortress you labor to build, it is the very space you are. It is not a place you visit, but the fundamental nature of your being, a boundless, serene awareness untouched by the comings and goings of the phenomenal world. The constant reactivity, the feeling of being at the mercy of external events, dissipates because there is no longer a separate self to be reactive. You are now the serene witness not just of your life, but as life itself, observing the divine play unfold with equanimity and profound understanding. This is the divine wealth Yogananda spoke of, the true treasure of the soul, not material accumulation, but the unshakable peace and wisdom that come from knowing your true identity. The dialogues between Krishna and Arjuna now resonate with a new, immediate truth. Krishna's guidance on Dharma, Bhakti, and Karma Yoga isn't just philosophy, it's the living experience of your awakened consciousness. Your actions are no longer driven by egoic desire or fear of outcome, but by a profound, spontaneous alignment with the divine will. You act with dispassion, dedicating every endeavor as an offering to the ultimate reality. This is the essence of true purpose, not a personal ambition, but a selfless contribution to the cosmic harmony, flowing effortlessly from a heart surrendered to God. The distinction between the individual will and the divine will blurs, then vanishes, leaving only unified action. This profound moment of ego dissolution and soul rebirth is the true spiritual turning point. It is not an end, but a radical re-beginning, where purpose is no longer a burden to be carried, but a grace to be embodied. You have glimpsed the eternal, the infinite, and the boundless love that underpins all existence. The quest for purpose transforms from a frantic scramble into a silent prayer, a continuous offering of self to the self. This radical shift in consciousness, this profound surrender where your ego symbolically dies to give birth to your true divine self, is a journey few dare to complete. For those who have tasted the bitter sweetness of this dissolution, or for those who yearn for it with every fiber of their being, what is the deepest truth about your ego's most persistent defense, the one belief it clutches most tightly, even in the face of absolute spiritual revelation? Share that vulnerable truth, that lingering doubt, or that powerful aspiration in the comments below. The deepest truth about your ego's most persistent defense, the belief it clutches most tightly even in the face of absolute spiritual revelation, is the illusion of individual control, the deeply ingrained conviction that you must orchestrate your destiny. But when that illusion finally crumbles, when the lead of suffering transmutes into the gold of consciousness, you step into a new normal. This is the materialization of the spiritual awakening, translating the mystical climax into tangible shifts in your daily existence. It is not a dramatic external change, but a profound internal recalibration, where the heavens have touched the earth within you, and life itself becomes a continuous prayer, a flowing expression of divine purpose. The profound stillness you experienced in the dissolution of the ego now permeates your every moment, anchoring you in an unshakable peace. The world has not changed, but your perception of it has been utterly revolutionized. The incessant noise that once overwhelmed you now registers as a distant hum, powerless to disturb the vast inner silence you inhabit. This is the testimonio sereno, the calm, definitive clarity that arises from having touched the bedrock of your eternal self. You walk through life with a sense of profound detachment, not aloofness, but a sacred observer status. The drama of external events, which once triggered your reactive anxiety, is now seen as a beautifully choreographed play of Maya, understood and appreciated from a place of deep, unassailable tranquility. This new normal is characterized by a radical simplification of existence. The frantic search for purpose, the endless self-help quests, the desperate need for external validation, all these fall away, revealed as the ego's futile attempts to fill a void that only the divine can occupy. Instead, purpose reveals itself not as a grand, predefined career path or a specific achievement, but as the quality of your presence in every action, every interaction. Your purpose becomes to simply be an instrument of the divine, to allow the higher will to flow through you, guiding your words, your deeds, your very breath. This is the essence of karma yoga as taught by Krishna, action performed without attachment to the fruits, offered as devotion. The anchor in this new reality is a constant, subtle connection to the divine. Prayer is no longer an occasional request, but a continuous state of being, a dialogue without words, a felt presence. Every task, no matter how mundane, becomes an act of devotion, imbued with sacredness. The anxiety that once plagued you, the feeling of being constantly reactive and at the mercy of external events, has been transmuted. It is replaced by an intuitive flow, a sense of effortless alignment, where the next step reveals itself naturally, guided by an inner knowing that is beyond the rational mind. This is the divine wealth Yogananda spoke of, not material riches, but the inexhaustible treasure of inner peace, unwavering faith, and clear, intuitive guidance. This profound transformation affects every aspect of your being. Your relationships deepen, no longer driven by need or expectation, but by unconditional love and selfless giving. Your work becomes a joy, an expression of your deepest self, rather than a means to an end. Even your physical body, once a source of tension and dis-ease, begins to harmonize with the inner tranquility, reflecting the serene balance of your consciousness. The inner citadel is no longer a meditation to be practiced, it is the very fabric of your awakened reality, an intrinsic part of who you are. You embody the serene witness, not as an effortful role, but as your natural state, observing the ebb and flow of life from an eternal perspective. Remember the specific pain from Topico 1, the anguish of repeating the same cycles of suffering, feeling stuck in an invisible pattern, the frustration of striving without progress, the constant reactivity. How does that manifest now? The cycles are seen not as curses, but as opportunities for release, understood with compassion rather than judgment. The feeling of being stuck transforms into an awareness of divine timing. The striving is replaced by a graceful effort, infused with devotion. The constant reactivity gives way to conscious response, born from inner stillness. You have closed the circle, not by eradicating the old patterns, but by transcending them through a fundamental shift in consciousness. This new normal is not an end state, but a dynamic, ever-unfolding journey. It is the beginning of true spiritual mastery, where your life becomes a living prayer, a testament to the transformative power of surrender and divine guidance. The illusions of Maya still exist, but they no longer hold sway over your perception. You see through them, understanding their temporary nature, while your true identity rests securely in the unchangeable reality of the divine. Your purpose, once a frantic question, is now the silent, radiant answer that emanates from your very being. Yet, this profound peace, this unwavering clarity you now embody, is but a single, sacred drop in the boundless ocean of divine potential. What if the very liberation you have achieved, the individual purpose that now shines so brightly, was never meant to be contained within the confines of your personal journey alone, but was a meticulously crafted key, designed to unlock a far grander, universal awakening? The profound peace and unwavering clarity you now embody are indeed magnificent, a testament to the soul's arduous journey through the labyrinth of illusion. But what if this very liberation, this individual purpose that now shines so brightly, was never meant to be contained within the confines of your personal journey alone. What if it was a meticulously crafted key, designed to unlock a far grander, universal awakening, a collective shift that demands your conscious participation, transforming you from a liberated soul into a beacon for others still lost in the shadows of bewilderment? This is the Grand Virata, the turning point where the personal becomes planetary. You have dissolved the illusion of separateness within yourself, moving from the reactive individual to the serene witness. But the world outside still groans under the weight of this very illusion, manifesting as conflict, division, and existential despair. Yogananda, the divine messenger of self-realization, did not attain his enlightenment merely for his own liberation. He returned to the world, dedicating his life to teaching Kriya Yoga, to spreading the science of the soul, precisely because his individual awakening revealed the interconnectedness of all beings. Similarly, Krishna's teachings to Arjuna were not just for Arjuna's individual dilemma, they were for all of humanity, a timeless blueprint for righteous living and divine communion. Your newfound clarity is not an exemption from the world's suffering, but a sacred mandate to alleviate it, to extend the peace you have cultivated within outwards, into the collective consciousness. The realization that awakening is not a destination, but a portal. Having purified your own karmic pathways and attuned your will to the divine, you are now equipped with the tools, the wisdom, and the inner fortitude to assist in the awakening of others. The responsibility shifts from solely personal evolution to collective upliftment. This is not about preaching or converting, it is about embodying, about living your awakened purpose so radiantly that it naturally inspires and guides those who cross your path. Your serene presence becomes a silent prayer, your conscious actions a living sermon. You become a conduit for the divine wealth that has awakened within you, sharing its abundance with a world desperately in need. The stakes are higher than you might imagine. The illusion of Maya, once a personal veil, now reveals itself as a cosmic web, entangling countless souls in patterns of fear, ignorance, and discord. Your individual liberation, when viewed through the lens of mysticismo comparato, is a microcosm of a larger, evolving consciousness. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, Rumi, of the universal heart. Your journey from confusion to clarity, from reactivity to serenity, now contributes to the clearing of the global psyche. The suffering you once endured, the battles you won, were not just for your benefit, they were a preparation, a training ground for the greater work that now awaits you, the work of being a conscious participant in the inevitable spiritual transformation of humanity. This grand cliffhanger leaves you not with a sense of completion, but with a profound, sublime inquietaco, an insatiable curiosity about the next phase of your divine mission. The question is no longer, what is my purpose, but, how can my awakened purpose serve the universal purpose? This is the challenge of the awakened soul, to move beyond personal peace to planetary stewardship, to become a living testament to the truth that when one soul awakens, the entire cosmos vibrates with new light. But if this individual awakening is merely the prelude to a far vaster, more demanding cosmic duty, how will you prepare your heart and mind to embrace a responsibility that transcends all personal desire, a call that demands absolute, unwavering surrender to the very heartbeat of the divine? If this profound journey, this unvarnished truth about purpose and prayer, has resonated with the deepest chambers of your soul, if it has ignited a flicker of recognition within you, I urge you to transform that resonance into conscious action. Share your thoughts, your deepest reflection, or simply one word that captured the essence of this message for you in the comments below. Your sincere testimony is not just a comment, it is a sacred offering, a beacon that can illuminate the path for another seeking soul who needs to hear exactly what you've experienced or understood. Let your voice contribute to the collective awakening, strengthening the vibrational field of clarity and purpose that this community embodies. And if you haven't yet joined our growing family of seekers and awakened souls, subscribe to this channel. Each new subscriber strengthens our mission to carry this profound, liberating wisdom to more hearts and minds across the globe. Together, we are not just consuming content, we are forging a collective path toward spiritual sovereignty, guided by the timeless wisdom of the Masters. Let us co-create a world where every step is a prayer, and every life, a testament to divine purpose.